What's going on YouTube? Your dude Sly here, and welcome back to another Sly Nation Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order video. Now I'm sure you have all no doubt heard about this game by now. If you haven't, then you need to check the review out here on my channel, as it is by far the best Star Wars game to date. Just about everything within this game is beautiful, novel, well-designed, original Star Wars to the core, and it's just plain fun. While there are a couple of slow spots at the beginning, it becomes clear towards the end why Respawn chose the path that they did, and it makes complete sense. But there is one thing about this game, and that's the fact that it does not hold your hand. It doesn't tell you which path to take, what world to travel to, except right at the start, or how to go about your journey. And if you do not pay attention when unlocking your skills, you will not see another hint about them for the rest of the game. So with that in mind, here are a few things I wish I knew when I started my playthrough. A few tips and tricks that will make your playthrough that much more enjoyable than it will already be. Now, just as a heads up guys, there are a couple of spoilers in here through the gameplay. I will definitely not ruin the story or any of the game's more fantastic moments, just a few light spoilers which I consider to be not that big of a deal, however, just be warned. So with that, let's go ahead and start off. The first tip of mine is located on Bogano, which is the second planet you visit within the game. Now when you first arrive, all you're asked to do is check out a location on the planet, but this place is absolutely ripe for exploration. Sort of like in the newer Tomb Raider games, you can only progress so far on each planet. As your connections to the Force become stronger, you'll start to learn these quote-unquote new skills. As these skills unlock, you can then start to explore planets further, uncovering more secrets, valuable crates, hidden areas, extra stims, stuff like that. But there's a skill on Bogano that the game encourages you to find rather early on. In fact, you have to find it before you can actually leave. However, it does not tell you about it at first until you head towards the very first objective. But if you start exploring everything the moment you arrive, you'll end up missing out on so much due to that locked skill. So with that, as soon as you get on Bogano guys, do your objectives first and foremost and grab that skill. Once it tells you to go back to your ship, that's when you should start exploring. Equipped with this new skill, you can start reaching areas you wouldn't have been able to earlier. I wish I was told about this beforehand, because instead of going to my objectives first, I went out and explored everything I could and realized that half of this stuff, is locked up behind skills I don't have yet. And then all of a sudden I found the skill and went back and, spent the next hour or two doing the same things I just did. So it was kind of boring, and that's why I'm trying to save you guys from that. Okay, so before we get to the second big tip of the video, I want to go over a couple of small things on your ship. First, make sure you check out the bed of dirt next to the kitchen, the terrarium. There are various seeds that you can find all over the planets you explore, and picking up seeds is how you can win Grease's favor. Well, one of the ways. Also, in the back where you meditate, you're going to have a workbench in which you can change out not only the lightsaber skins, such as your handle, types of material, emitter, stuff like that, but you can also change out different colors, which I thought was pretty cool. The other stuff, like clothes, you'll find in your inventory, such as ship's paint, different skins for BD1, your poncho, different colored outfits for Cal. Unfortunately, you do not get a lot of options for Cal, but still, it's fun nonetheless. Okay, so once you're done on Bogano, head back to the Mantis, and now let's talk about that last big tip. The game gives you two planets to check out at the very beginning. You can either go to Zepho or Dathomir. Zepho is where the game's story will want to take you, as well as the objective, and that's where 90% of everybody goes. The other planet, Dathomir, is pretty brutal, and when you don't have a lot of skills unlocked, it is pretty tough. In fact, it's twice as hard as the other planets, especially if you're just starting out your story and you only have a few force moves and wall running unlocked. You might get your ass kicked a little bit on Dathomir, but it's totally worth it. You're not going very far, and you will be rewarded. So instead of starting the story over on Zepho, head to the harder planet Dathomir. Try to deal with the bugs, and instead of fighting the toothy beast you see right at the beginning, sneak by it. It continually does this huge circle around the first area, so just try to avoid it altogether. Unless, of course, you're good at melee games, then you can deal with it. I did, so if I can do it, you can too. Come back and deal with it later if it's too much. Make your way up and then try to loot a few chests while you're here. There's actually a lot in this first area, but like I said, be careful of the bugs. They're pretty tough this early on, especially when there's a bunch of them. Only try to kill these guys if you see one or two of them, but when you see a mob, just keep dodging and run away. There's going to be an area right before you get into the next section where there's a bunch of bugs and also a rope that you can cut to unlock a shortcut. Now just in case you die, and you probably will die, cut the rope so you don't have to run around and do all that stuff again. If you see a bunch of bugs, simply dodge, lead the bugs away, and then dodge back through them again, cut the rope, and then run away, run towards the main path leading deeper into the map. Once you get inside here, you'll see a cutscene and have to fight 2 enemies. Once again, these guys are much harder than the enemies on Zepho, but just keep blocking, or if you wish, you can run past them. A meditation circle is not that far ahead. Meditate, and then you have to fight these guys a few more times. In the stairs in front of you, you'll have archers and also 2 melee guys. Block the archers' arrows to reflect back to them. But remember, you have to block as it's coming towards you and then stop blocking once it fires back. You can't simply hold block and then direct all the shots back to him. You have to wait for the shot to actually be taken, then block, and then it'll bounce back in his direction. Once you take all of these dudes out, follow the only way you can go, which is kind of a big circle around this area. At the end, you're going to be able to open a door, which is another shortcut that leads right back to the meditation circle and the archers you were just at. Now, you're going to have to travel through a series of looping tunnels before you can open that shortcut door, and there will be more of those Darth Maul looking dudes popping out around corners. So since you don't have a lot of health yet, be careful and block every time you enter a new room where you cannot see around a corner. After you go through a few of these areas, you're going to see the door I'm talking about on your left. Go ahead and open it up. Head to the meditation circle, rest to get your health back, which I'm sure you'll need, and that will also save the shortcuts. You'll then have to fight the dudes on the steps again, but simply stick to the ledge so the archers cannot shoot you, take care of the melee guys, and then simply block and bounce back the arrows to kill the archers. If you need to, try to separate groups. Anytime you come across a large group, try to separate out enemies. It'll help you a lot if you can do it. So go back through the shortcut door you just opened, and you'll see a black-robed person in front of you. Now, I personally would recommend leaving the dude alone and talk to him later, but it's absolutely your choice. It's not going to spoil anything if you want to talk to him now. However, what you really want to do is hop down to the path below you. Follow that path, and then you'll see a slab of rock that's converted into a workstation. This is how you unlock your dual lightsaber. Now, I didn't get this until I was 75% of the way through the main game because I kept following, the objectives in the story, and you don't go to Dathomir until like late in the game. Getting this early and learning how to use it throughout the game will help you out tremendously when it comes time to battle harder enemies and larger groups. The dual lightsaber excels at ranged enemies and lower level enemies that are in huge groups. The single lightsaber, however, seems to be the way to go for bosses and legendary enemies, but when you have multiple enemies, the dual just shreds, especially when you start unlocking more skills for it. I really wish I knew about this on my first playthrough instead of getting it so late, but because by that time I was so familiar with the single-bladed lightsaber that I just used that for the rest of the game. Every time I started using the dual-sided, it was different maneuvers and I just kept dying, so I went back to the single. So this is a really good tip I hope you guys use. Okay guys, and the last couple of things to talk about before starting this game, skills. There are a few skills that you're going to want to pick up right off the bat. You'll want your heavy attack, which is Y on controller or F on PC. You will also want to get extra life, extra force of course, and the next two, superior blocking, which gives you your force back through blocks. That extra life through BD stims also wouldn't hurt either. Everything on Zepho is pretty easy, and you can start upgrading other skills throughout that planet once you start getting more XP, but those are the skills I recommend getting first and foremost. But yeah, that's about it guys, just a quick video going over some of the tips to make your playthrough just a little more enjoyable and to show you how a few things work early on in the game. Like I said in my review, this style of melee combat requires a lot of patience, so if you're not used to a melee game like Dark Souls, For Honor, or games like that, then choose story mode or at the max Jedi Knight. Save the harder difficulty for the second playthrough, because once you start facing off against harder enemies, it can become frustrating if you're not used to these type of games, and that will then detract from your overall experience. Just my recommendation, but it's of course your call. Anyways, enjoy it my friend, this game is absolutely fantastic and 100% Star Wars goodness all the way. As always, thank you for watching and for supporting Sly Nation. If you're new to my channel, then welcome friend, hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you stick around for what's next. Spank the thumbs up or down if you liked, hated, or even loved the video, and subscribe for plenty more Star Wars, Destiny, and other gaming videos like tips, tricks, guides, and reviews. Keep those eyes open for more vids coming out here soon, but until then, this is your dude Sly, and I'll catch you all in the next one.